If you see your brother standing by the road with a heavy load, the seeds he sowed, and if you see your sister falling by the way, just stop and say, you're going the wrong way. You've got to try a little kindness, yeah sure, a little kindness, just shine a light for everyone to see. And if you try a little kindness, then you'll overlook the blindness. Narrow-minded people, narrow-minded streets. Don't walk around the down and out, lend a helping hand instead of doubt. And the kindness that you show every day will help someone along their way. You've got to try a little kindness, yes sure, a little kindness, just shine a light for everyone to see. And if you try a little kindness, then you'll overlook the blindness. Narrow-minded people, narrow-minded streets. You've got to try a little kindness, yep, and show a little kindness, just shine a light for everyone to see. And if you try a little kindness, then you'll overlook the blindness. Narrow-minded people, narrow-minded streets. Narrow-minded people, narrow-minded streets.
Well, I think that put a little joy into all our hearts. Welcome everyone to Valley Community Church of Divine Science. Do we have anyone visiting us for the first time?
Yes, we do.
I sure, would you please give the gentleman an open packet? And if you have a cell phone, please check that it is turned off or is in silence so it does not disturb the service. Our special music today is our own Omnitones, and our at-one-minute reader is Wanda Moser. Wanda?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Wanda.
So I picked out one that I was going to read, and then I read the one behind it, and I realized that this is me. And I know that I can't be the only person who needed to hear this today. One of the paradoxes of your kind is that the most self-centered are also the most self-hating. Pardon me. It is as if these people justify their own loathing of themselves by making others dislike them. These people are a product of a society that pays no attention to the real needs of its young. Since their needs have not been met, they find it impossible to recognize the needs of others. This flows on from generation to generation. Yet few people genuinely love themselves. The body is wrong, the abilities are not right, the hair is wrong, the wrong color, they cannot get the right job, and so on through the endless whips of which your kind lashes itself. And guilt. Guilt over family first and foremost, the sharpest lash of all. But what if that guilt could be lifted? If you could be found innocent in the court of your own mind? If you could accept your body, know it is perfect. Accept your childhood innocence. All children are innocent. Accept your fallibility, the hardest of all. Say with me, I am innocent. At first it is difficult. There is a resistance. Your mind say that you are not. All the whips come out, and the cuts are deep. Every real and surmised transgression floods into your consciousness. Say with me, I am a part of all there is, and I am innocent. You may feel silly with these words on your lips. They are unfamiliar, unreal. You may not even accept the existence of all there is. Say with me, I am innocent. I am innocent. I am innocent. Now let your minds go blank. Picture your own persona, in whatever form that you choose, holding you as if you were a baby. You are a baby. Hear your persona say, I love you, you are innocent, and you are perfect. Naturally, you will awake from this reverie and say that there is no persona, and the whips will be out again. It will take many times, and it must be done every day. Get used to the words, I love you, you are innocent, and you are perfect. Hear them often in your own mind. The love of self will flow naturally from this. Do not feel guilt if it takes time. Forgive yourself even for that. Everything around you will support you in this journey to self-acceptance and self-love. And you will gain it, and you will contact your persona, and you will meld into the love of all there is. You will come home.
Our opening hymn this morning is number 4, For the Beauty of the Earth. We will sing verses 1, 2, and 4. That is hymn number 4, verses 1, 2, and 4.
It's always amazing the way these things work out, how things dovetail when you really didn't plan them that way. My Bible verse this morning is from 1 Timothy 4th chapter, 4th verse. For every creature of God is good. For every creature of God is good. Isn't that exactly what Wanda just said? We have to apply that to ourselves. We have to think in terms of the reality that God created us, and God doesn't make mistakes. that yes, we do, humanly, make mistakes. But our core is the image of God. Our inner being, our soul, our spirit, the Christ within, as we put it in this church, that is God's handiwork, and it is perfect. It is good. But at this time in the history of this country and the world, we have to extend that this person is good, for every creature of God is good, to those people whom we've heard in the news so frequently, those who believe in Aryan races and who are prejudiced against people of Jewish origin or of another skin color. People who make mistakes, deep, profound mistakes, spiritual mistakes. They too are good within. They too are choosing wrong paths at this time. But they too have to be recognized as the handiwork of God, that there is that core within them, just as it is within us, that is perfect, harmonious, beautiful, powerful, loving, wise. We see it in the newspaper, we hear it over the TV, we read it on our telephones. But let us insert that spiritual knowledge that we have of the truth of their being and our being. Just as it says in 1 Timothy, for every creature of God is good. Shall we say our divine science statement of being now, together? God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am the individualized expression of God, and am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance.
This song was nominated for Country Music Song of the Year back in 1967. I hadn't heard it in years, and I'm looking at this crowd, and y'all probably gonna say I've never heard it. But I was hoping Cynthia Greer would be here because we've said she will surely know it. But Tammy, one beautiful Saturday morning, I hadn't heard it, and Tammy was getting ready for a bike ride, and the temperature was perfect, and she come through the house singing this one. I said, oh, wait a minute, we might do that for church. So here it is.
It's such a pretty world today. Look at the sunshine, look at the sunshine, ooh. And every day's the same since I met you. It's such a pretty world today. Knowing that you're mine, knowing that you're mine, ooh. And happiness is being close to you. And though the rain may fall, our skies will all be blue. And if I look close enough, the sun will come shining through. day since I met you. It's such a pretty world today. Look at the sunshine, look at the sunshine. And every day's the same since I met you. It's such a pretty world today. Knowing that you're mine, knowing that you're mine. Happiness is being close to you. And though the rain may fall, our skies will all be blue. And if I look close enough, the sun will come shining through. It's such a pretty world today. Look at the sunshine, look at the sunshine. Today and every day since I met you. Today and every day since I met you.
This is our time of healing meditation. Oh, we live such busy lives, and it takes time and effort to put aside quiet time. So we put aside that quiet time for a little while today. Please take a deep breath and let it out slowly. And as you do so, relax. Relax everything in your body: face, shoulders, arms, hands, stomach, legs, and feet. For when we relax physically, we can begin to relax mentally and put on the shelf for a little while those issues and challenges that occupy mind and attention and time and effort. And remember the truth. Bask in the truth that you are in the midst of the presence of God, and that presence is available to help, to hold, to heal, to raise, to enlighten, to direct each and every one of us when we so desire, when we turn to Him. Matters not one whit what the problem is, small or large. And somehow they all seem kind of large. Right now, we set that concern aside. We hand it over. We release it to that which is all solutions, all answers, and all power to bring about the good that we need. Beloved Father, you know each and every one of us to our very core, because you know all things. And you know how much power, inner power, we each and all have. For we were made in the image of that Spirit that is power and love and right action and perfect solutions. Oh, we give thanks for that. We give thanks for knowing the truth of ourselves and the truth of life, for as we depend on you, those things which we need and want, those things which are right for us, good for us, those things which will make us a blessing to others, those things flow harmoniously, easily into our lives, into our consciousness. Today, right now, we will have a 90-second meditation, a silent meditation, where we can remind ourselves that God is right here within me, and He knows those things that challenge me, and He is bringing forth those solutions that will help me and help those around me. So now, let go and let God. We've done it. We've released. We've let go, knowing that that concern is in the most powerful consciousness, the most powerful hands in the universe. And we can expect in its own perfect time that solution, that right action, that individual, that opportunity. And for this we give the very deepest thanks. Amen.
Amen.
And now shall we say the Lord's Prayer, the one you'll find in your orders of service, the affirmative version. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed is thy name. Thy kingdom is come, thy will is done on earth as it is in heaven. Thou givest us this day our daily bread. Thou forgivest us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Thou leadest us not into temptation, but dost deliver us from all evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Well, this morning I am going to be talking about personal space. On Monday evenings. We've been looking at a series of DVDs on the subject of understanding nonverbal communication. And one of the first segments was about personal space. You know, by the age of 12, every one of us had an unconscious adult attitude about what constituted the personal space, our personal space and others in our society. But to define personal space, because we have to know what we're talking about here, it's the amount of space between us and someone else that feels non-threatening, that feels comfortable. Now, of course, the amount of space depends on who it is. If it happens to be a parent or a child or a loved one, a husband, wife, significant other, a relative, a very, very dear friend, well, that's one thing. And of course, we are happy to have them close to us. But if it happens to be a casual friend or just an acquaintance, a business associate, we feel much more comfortable when they're a little further away from us. And then, if we encounter a stranger, we want them still further away from us. Now, in our society, the intimate zone, the zone of the people that are closest to us, is a personal space of anywhere from 6 inches to 18 inches. So 6 inches isn't very far, and that's really close by. That's a child sitting on your lap, and somebody hugging you, or having a very private conversation. That's what you do with the loved one, 6 to 18 inches. If a stranger got that close, your body would react, actually. You would get uncomfortable, your heart rate would increase. So you don't want strangers that close. That distance is reserved specifically for people who are very close to us. Now, there is another zone, which is called the friendship zone. And that includes friends, you know, nice friends. It's social interactions that take place at that distance. And if you're going to a party, people are talking to you, looking at you, and so forth, and they're about that far away. And that far away is 18 inches to 48 inches away. So, half to 4 feet away. And if they're talking to you, that's a comfortable zone for you to interact with friends, a party, or something like that. That's called the friendship zone. But then there is what is called the social zone. That's 4 feet to 12 feet. And this is a comfortable distance that we want between us and the other person for strangers we have just met or for a very casual acquaintance that really don't know. We want them further away from us. Now this is totally unconscious, but it's written into the programs of our behavior and we really don't realize it. Personal space changes, though, depending on what society we are in. In the United States, we converse with people at about 4 feet away from us. That's 2 feet of our personal space and 2 feet of theirs. That's what is usual. But in Europe, conversations take place within 2 to 3 feet. They get a little closer to you. And in societies that are much more crowded, are much more densely populated, like Japan or India, the conversational distance is quite a bit less. They get closer to you, much closer. There was a college student who had a teacher from Japan, and when they were having private conversations with each other, this teacher would move close, and unconsciously the student was backing up. And the teacher got a little, the student would back up some more. And finally, it occurred to this young man that it was the difference in social mores, that actually the comfortable distance between him and his teacher was a good bit closer than was comfortable for him. And so he realized what he was doing, and he understood, but he didn't want to offend this man. And so he allowed this person to stand closer to him, and he made up for it in his own mind. Well, I'm going to do this. He was not terribly comfortable with it, even so. Now, it's interesting that studies have found that people who are richer get more personal space. And if somebody has authority over you, they get more personal space too. Males generally need more personal space than females do, although females need a lot of space in that social zone, that's in the zone where strangers, with strangers, they want space there. Did anybody we've wandered through it a couple of times. It's on National Geographic. It's a program, I think it's called 30 Below. And it's about these people who live way out in Alaska, miles and miles and miles from anybody else. They live off the land, and or maybe just with they're by themselves. I didn't see any human partners around. Dogs, yes, but not human partners. Talk about needing personal space. These people just had the dogs, their small dwelling place, and the great outdoors. And they lived off the outdoors, what they could find to eat. Those people really needed their space. My. Of course, it is a totally different thing if you happen to live in an urban environment. More urban even than us, because in a more urban environment, you have to get into very crowded places. You get on a bus, you're sometimes in a very crowded place, or a subway or a train, or even a crowded elevator. Standing in line at the grocery store, if you only have a few things, there's somebody right behind you, or somebody right in front of you. The crowd certainly is there. There is the crowd, or at the bank, or wherever we make conversation or have need of help with something. You just learn to put up with it. But it's interesting that our behavior changes when people are in our intimate zone and we are not really intimate with them. You can imagine hanging off a strap in a bus or holding on to a pole in a bus. What's the mores? And they're unconscious. You avoid eye contact with them. You stand very stiffly so that you don't bump into them, you don't touch them. And they do the same. You keep an expressionless face. No smiles, no, nothing like that. You don't talk, no. And you try, or you pretend to try, if you're sitting down, you pretend to read, maybe you try to look at your cell phone, or you stare straight ahead. Those are the automatic behaviors. You don't usually think about them, but yeah, that's what you do. That's what you do. Now, there are times when you deliberately put yourself in a very crowded place, and it can be both pleasant and unpleasant. My daughters, Laurie and Lisa, and Laurie's significant other, Trish, and some of Lisa's friends from Alabama, she drove up from Alabama, and some of Laurie's friends all went to the Women's March on Washington. Now, that was a crowded place. We want to stand up and just tell a teeny bit about it, its pluses and minuses.
Well, it was a very unique experience. Most of the people I was with had not been in a crowd that large. It was about 500,000 people total. And as you recall, it was the day after the inauguration. And most of the time, we were shoulder to shoulder. It was packed. And they didn't step off for 5 hours. I mean, there were 5 hours of speeches, which is probably about 2.5 hours too long. But to be in the same space with so many like-minded people was very powerful and very memorable. And it was a long day, but people were very friendly and patient with one another, even as people had to elbow their way through the crowd to get to wherever they were going. And I would say that, you know, given your talk today, that this was an unusual circumstance. You often don't find yourself in a crowd that big, but everybody was patient and kind, fortunately.
Thank you so much for telling us about that. Now, there is not just such a thing as personal space. There is also what is called personal territory. Ever heard of that? Well, maybe not, but personal territory includes the things that you and you alone own. Now, that is going to include something like your wallet or your purse. That's yours and yours alone. Your children, or your spouse, or your significant other. There are also other kinds of territories, temporary territories, they call them. Like the magazine that you're reading at the doctor's office, you know, waiting for your name to be called. Nobody walks over and takes it away from you. It's your temporary personal territory. Or you're sitting down at a food court and minding your own business, and somebody sits down at the same table without asking permission. That they're invading your personal territory. You know, there's a little bit of a reaction there. An invasion of our personal territory sometimes gets irritating. It really does. There are other personal territories, like your pew in church, your chair in church, where you usually sit when somebody's sitting in my place. How about if you put your lunch in the office refrigerator and somebody helps themselves to some... not a good thing. We react to things like that because that's part of our territory, as it were. What about somebody parking on the front lawn of your house? That lawn that you have watered and fertilized and gotten very proud of because it looks good now, and somebody parks their car on it. No way. What if somebody moves your purse? Not a good feeling. Or climbs into your car, just opens the door, sits down in your car. Well, I don't know about that. That's your personal territory. What are they doing in there, for gosh sakes? What if they are just outside, but they sit on the hood of your car? No. Somebody uses your towel or your washcloth. No, kind of frown at that. Or flirts openly with your significant other. That's part of your personal territory, for gosh sakes. And it's interesting to think how we usually automatically, subconsciously react to these things. We don't realize we're doing it even, but we do. That uncomfortable feeling that causes some kind of response in us. No. Well, I've been talking about personal space and personal territory and how often we react to it because it causes feelings inside of us, certainly when it's been violated. But when we look at this subject through spiritual eyes, there is no such thing as personal space. Spiritual truth of the matter is that, and that's something we talk about just about every Sunday in this Valley Community Church Divine Science, is that God fills all time and space. His presence constitutes the basis of the whole created universe. We define him imperfectly, because we can't define God, but we define him as an infinite field of energy and information and love that we are an inseparable part of. Personal space, in actuality, is God's space. Whether we know it or not, whether we remember it or not, God is omnipresent. God is right here, right now. He is part of this moment, this place, and every place. His divine energy is the basis of your physical being. The air we're breathing right now. He's part of the walls and the roof of this building that are keeping us comfortable, the fans going, and so forth. Divine energy is the basis of the clothing that you're wearing around your body. The life force that's coursing through your whole body at this time. God is part of the digestion of your breakfast. The very thoughts that you're thinking. We are one. We are one with him. And as we remember this, as we remember it with pleasure, as we celebrate this truth more and more consistently, the more secure we are within ourselves. The more secure and less frightened we are of life. The more inwardly peaceful we are, the more confident we are that, yes, together, God and we are a majority. It's going to work out. Why are we so confident? Because we have instant, constant access to all this power, to this love, to this good. The good that God is right here, right now. Everything's going to work out in divine order. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay right now, no matter how momentarily our state of personal space is mixed up and unhappy, or considering possibilities that are not pleasant, or people are encroaching on us. Doesn't matter what our personal space is doing right now. We have access to prayer. We have access to God no matter what's happening. We can talk to God believing the truth of what he is, which is every good thing, every good possibility. Here, now, available. We know what omnipresence means. We know that. We know he is a constant part of our personal space. We've been taught, and it's true, that every thought is a prayer. Every thought we think is a prayer. And those of you who have been around here for a while, I hope, continue to be diligent in your efforts to watch your thoughts, not let them go into the negative, critical kind of spaces. Watch your expectations, watch your attitudes, and turn them around. Make them positive. Make them fully aware that God is in this process. As we continue to do this, as we know on an ongoing, or as often as we can think of it, as we know that God is part of our personal space, then our prayer thoughts begin to attract to us greater abundance, greater healing, greater good. Greater good. A CR, who is from Tennessee, tells everybody that he can grab and buttonhole about his miracle healing that came through prayer. May 28th, 2008. He got very, very sick. His whole body was swollen. Whole body. Eyes were so swollen that he couldn't hardly see through them. The doctors and the specialists were doing their very best with all the ultrasounds and the scans, the x-rays, the blood tests, the whole thing. They couldn't figure out what was going on with this fellow. After 12 days in the hospital of just awful illness, C.R. was beginning to wonder if he was going to survive. But there was one thing that he knew for certain, and that was that God was in control of his life. He lay there in the hospital bed, and he prayed. He couldn't sleep very much, so he prayed day and he prayed night. He kept speaking to God and reflecting on his life. He believes that he had a moment where he had an out-of-body experience, a peaceful, bright light, a pure moment, he called it. And he made up his mind that he was going to let go and let go. God was in control. He decided, and it was a peaceful decision, that if it was God's will, if it was his time to go, then that would be okay. He was trusting God. And after giving God control over his life, just letting it all go, he began quickly getting well. The whole condition started turning around very rapidly. All the prayers, though, from the family and the friends and the strangers, the medical staff, all that he knows helped him through. It was going on during this whole ordeal, and he could feel those prayers. C.R. still doesn't know why he got sick, but he trusts God implicitly with his whole life. Now, there was R.P. He too found the power of prayer in his life. He testifies that he was at a very crucial time in his life, his marriage, his spirituality, and his finances, which were down the drain at the time. And he believes that God wanted him to learn to believe in God's power, blessings, and miracles. That's what he believes. And this all turned out to be. R.P. was praying fervently. He didn't hope for a miracle. He believed in it. He believed that it was going to happen with all his heart and soul. Firm belief. God would use him to bless others through a financial miracle. That was what he was holding to. What he did next was call various churches and ask them what their needs were. That's pretty cheeky. But then after doing that, the negative thoughts started. You are a liar to all those pastors because you don't have any money. Actually, your bank account is in a negative balance right now. But he shut off those negative thoughts. And he had this wave of peace and joy and all over him, throughout him. It was going to be all right. God was in charge, and everything would come to pass in its perfect time. As a matter of fact, R.P. took the next step. He actually sat down and wrote out exactly what he had to spend. And then he wrote out all the checks in advance of the miracle, until the deposit could be made. He had the checks ready to go. And the miracle came. And he was blessed, and so were a bunch of other churches blessed. R.P. gave up his work, and now he has a career helping people to know that God is real. And his motto is, believe and receive. No room for doubt. Because that's what he did, and that brought about the miracle. You know, it's interesting. It's interesting to become aware of our personal space or our personal territory. Those things we do automatically react automatically to how close somebody can get without our feeling. That's too close. But it's interesting to know how possessive we can be of our things, our personal things. But it's a great deal more interesting to know that God is omnipresent. His good is omnipresent. It is present right here, right now, in our personal space, in our personal territory. So, all is well. Let's go within for just a few minutes. Right where you are, physically, mentally, emotionally, right now, God is there. God in all His love, His power, God with a perfect knowledge of how good you are, how worthy you are. Yes, we have all made mistakes, but that does not erase our basic worthiness or goodness. We simply make a little different trajectory in life away from the mistakes and do better. Do as good as we can. This one that loves us so much, that is part of our personal space, is always available, always there to help. And for that, oh, this morning we do say thank you. Thank you. Amen.
Amen.
This song was written by the Bee Gees in the late 70s, and their inspiration for this song was to draw attention to the children that were starving of hunger in third world nations. The royalties of this song were donated to UNICEF, and it was millions and millions of dollars. While some of the lyrics sound kind of gloomy, there's a positive note in there that I can see anew tomorrow for a positive turnaround to this. But you may remember those UNICEF commercials in the 70s and 80s where the children were waiting in line, just a small pittance of food was, and your dollars could help. That was their inspiration for this song, and I welcome y'all in my personal space on this. We're going to try it without instruments to draw attention to the lyrics.
Da 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 da. Nobody gets too much heaven no more. It's much harder to come by. I'm waiting in line. Nobody gets too much love anymore. It's as high as a mountain and harder to climb. Ooh, you and me got a lot of love in store, and it flows through you and it flows through me, and I love you so much more than my life. I can see beyond forever. Everything we are will never die. Love is such a beautiful thing. Oh, you make my world a summer day. Are you just a dream to fade away? Nobody gets too much heaven no more. It's much harder to come by. I'm waiting in line. Nobody gets too much love anymore. It's as high as a mountain harder to climb. Ooh, you and me got a highway to the sky. We can turn away from the night and day and the tears you had to cry. You're my life. I can see a new tomorrow. Everything we are will never die. Love is such a beautiful thing when you are to me the light above, made for all to see. Our precious love. Nobody gets too much heaven no more. It's as high as a mountain and harder to climb. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Love is such a beautiful thing. Oh, you make my world a summer day. Are you just a dream to fade away? Nobody gets too much heaven no more. It's much harder to come by. I'm waiting in line. Nobody gets too much love anymore. It's as high as a mountain and harder to climb.
Very nice. Now is the time for the blessing of the gifts. Would the ushers please bring the baskets to the front of the church? Please recite with me. Today, I acknowledge God, omnipresent, as the source of all good, as the source of my good. With this acknowledgement, I accept His will, which is abundance in every aspect of my life. I release all thoughts of lack and limitation, and I am open and receptive to the increased flow of abundance to me right now. I joyfully accept the gifts of life and give freely of the special gift that I am. Through me, God omnipresent, blesses and multiplies this gift for all. Thank you, dear God.
Would you turn to one another and please say, thank you for your gift to God's Word. Thank you so much. And I'm going to pass the prayer basket. Do yourself a favor. Pray for somebody this week. It blesses you even more than it blesses them.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Try to make the announcement short today. This Thursday at 6:30, it's still 6:30, Kate? We're going to Mac and Bob's for our dinner out. So there will not be the Thursday night happy chat class that we usually have on Thursday nights. Most of us go to the dinners out, so we will be canceling that and just going to dinner at Mac and Bob's. Then Monday, Labor Day, we're having our another picnic over at Oak Grove Park like we had in Memorial Day. We had such a good time, and we're going to go back over there for that. And we'll probably go around 11:30 to make sure we get a table. I think Julie's going to try to arrange to make sure that we get a table. But okay, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to collect money for the hamburgers like we did before. Okay, we'll talk about that next week. But anyhow, put that on the calendar for Monday, Labor Day. Also, as you know, we've been doing things for Oak Grove School the last year or so. We've been collecting school supplies. But this year they've asked us to do something different. They want us to help with what is called the Pack-a-Snack. They send snacks home with the kids. They have 38 kids that are in need at the school this year. And so we have a list, and Nancy will be typing it up and putting it in orders of service. So we're going to quit doing the personal hygiene stuff and go to the Pack-a-Snack. And we'll have a list of things. We'll put a box out front and one in there, and we'll take it as often as we fill them up. They said they could use all the help that they can get. They send these packs, if this is correct, Melanie and Kate, they send them home every weekend with these kids? Okay. So it's things that they can open and eat. They don't have to have anything cooked or anything. It's things that they can have. And as Melanie told me the other day, she said sometimes this is all these kids get over the weekend. So anyhow, we're going to try to help them with that. And next week we'll be talking, we got some estimates on paint and some other things that we need done around the church, so we're going to hopefully have our thermometer for our fundraiser. We'll be talking about some fundraisers in the next week or so. We'll get all that together so everybody will. We're going to start getting busy doing fundraisers, so y'all come up with some ideas. And we will be doing a yard sale. I've got to get with Martha and the other people that help and see when we can do it. So hopefully by the end of September, first part of October or something. And lastly, the flowers that they are sponsored by me, I'm going to take them to a friend of mine that is not feeling well. But also, if you look at the flower calendar, there's some empty spaces out there. The flowers are $20. You give the money to Laurel. It's simple. You can't go anywhere and buy these flowers for $20. So sponsor them for yourself or somebody else or whatever. But look at the flower calendar for the rest of the year and maybe consider sponsoring flowers for the change. And you're still doing Monday night?
Yes, I'm still doing Monday night. We are having some fun with that thing. Next week, it's going to be about a reading dialogue, how the changes in timbre of somebody's voice gives away a lot more than they think they're giving away in understanding this nonverbal communication. So if you're interested in any of that, if you'd like to read other people a little better than you are reading them, come and join us at 6:30 tomorrow in the annex.
Okay, and also Nancy will be starting her class back on Monday, I think September the 11th. It's the Monday after Labor Day. So all of us that have been on vacation from class had better get with the program, and we don't have an excuse for not doing what we're supposed to be doing. But anyhow, she will be starting back that Monday after Labor Day, and we'll be talking about that more next week too.
Our closing hymn is number 41, Simple Gifts. Please sing it through. That is hymn number 41.
Shall we make a circle?
Yeah, I think so too.
Cynthia?